Are you interested in stories of action and adventure? If so, I recommend checking out my episode-based book series, The Demon Slayer Sidekick, on Kindle Vella. The first 3 episodes are free to read, and new ones drop every single week. That's all I have to say, and now, onto the video. Hello everybody! JGC Anime here, and today we are going to be reviewing Tonikawa, Fly Me to the Moon, or Over the Moon for You, whatever, Season 2, or Tonikaku Kawaii Second Season. The reason I was a bit unsure before is because for some reason, when I am looking up this show, for some reason the title says, the English version says Over the Moon for You, but the actual, like, logo says Fly Me to the Moon, so it's a bit confusing, but yeah, I'm just gonna move past that for now. We're gonna move past all that, and let's just hop right into this. So, what is the story of this season? Well, there's not really much to it. Basically, Nasa and Tsukasa, the two who got married during the show, which for some reason they're still newlyweds. I'm pretty sure that's what the show was saying before. I can't remember if that's exactly true, but I think that's what they said, which confuses me considering the whole first season was about them being newlyweds and they're still newlyweds, which doesn't make much sense to me, but whatever. They're just enjoying their newlywed life as they're just hanging out at the bathhouse they're currently staying at and just kind of doing their random rom-com like adventures as a couple with the people around them. So yeah, it was a terrible description of what's happening, but there's not really much to go off of, and yeah, that's just not the best, but we're just gonna roll with it. So in spoiler-free thoughts, I think it was okay. I really enjoyed the first season personally. In fact, I think it's one of those rom-coms that I really enjoy, which I don't even know if it's more of a rom-com. It's more just like a romance just in general. There is comedic moments, but it's definitely more on the romance side. There's just not really much to go off with this season. Like, I went into this kind of expecting more of the same, but maybe a bit more to kind of get an idea of what I would like to see. But I'll be honest, there's really not much to really go on. They just kind of just go on dates and add a bit of lore for some of the characters, Tsukasa to be precise. They sprinkle a bit of lore in there, and that's about it. That's all they really do with the season. There's not really much to it, and it's kind of hard for me to really go into what the story and stuff is about because there's just not much to go off of in general. And yeah, if I had to give a few positives, I'd say I really do enjoy the relationship between Nasa and Tsukasa. I really enjoy the dynamic between the two of them and their whole couple engagement thing. They definitely do make this season very entertaining, as since they're the main leads, they do a good job keeping me entertained, which is the whole point. However, I also have a complaint. The fact that those two are the only ones that really guide the story. Because you see, in this story, there's tons of different side characters with unique personalities and different thought processes and all that, and I kind of want to see more of them. But that's not really helped by this show, as all the attention is given to Nasa and Tsukasa and their whole developments with their already wedded just romance, just them being a couple and stuff like that. And they don't really give other characters time to shine, especially in this season. In the first season, I remember some of the characters getting time to shine, but in this season, that's almost completely drowned out. In fact, a majority of the time, it's only those two, and the other characters just kind of pop up to drive the next plot point, and that's all they exist to do. Like, there's so many cool new characters especially that are introduced in this season that I want to see more of. I want to see more of their stories and their ideas. But we don't see those because the story has to focus on our main couple. And it's not like there isn't some focus on side characters, but a majority of the time, it's mainly focused on Nasa and Tsukasa, which, again, isn't a problem, but I do wish we had more to work with, since I'm pretty sure this writer who made this story has worked on stuff before that involves multiple different characters getting involved in a plot. I just feel like with this show in particular, it doesn't feel like these are really going anywhere. The side characters feel like they're only there to push whatever thing they want the main characters to do next, and then after that, they just kind of go away. I can go a bit more into that in the spoiler section, but I really don't like how the side characters pretty much just exist to push the main characters into their next plot point, and that's about it. But yeah, I will say there were some pretty nice jokes in there every now and then, but there weren't really like any too big laugh out loud moments for me. There was a few chuckles here and there, but I don't really know if there was really that many moments that made me laugh. It was definitely more of a wholesome, fun anime, and I do enjoy seeing Nasa and Tsukasa on screen. I just do wish that there was more from other characters, but yeah, moving on past that for now, One thing I would like to say that I do appreciate with this season is near the end of it, we kind of get a bit of lore on Tsukasa's character. She's kind of like given like a mystery element in the first season, and we don't really know too much, and we kind of get a bit more about her character in this season, but not enough to really understand, which is a bit frustrating, but it is nice to get a little bit more of an idea of who she is. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about much more without spoiling, so we're just getting into the spoiler section now. Here's the timestamps when the spoilers end. If you have seen the show, I recommend sticking around to hear my thoughts, but if you haven't, just get to the end so you don't get spoilers. But again, if you have seen it, I recommend sticking around to hear my thoughts so you can talk about them in the comments whether you agree or disagree. But yeah, I'm going to count up for 5 and enter the spoiler section. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, in terms of what I want to say in the spoiler section, I'm really not a fan of how little, I mentioned before, how little attention some of these characters get. Like, there's so many new characters that are introduced in this season, and I want to see more of them. Like, we have a teacher character who ends up meeting with Nasa, learning to get married, and thinks, maybe I should give relationships a chance too. And so she starts this little relationship with this other guy, which was actually really nice to watch. But that's about as much as we get from side characters in this show. There's so many cool new side characters that are introduced, like a tool or weapon girl who ends up being good friends with NASA, who ends up giving him some supplies here and there to help him set up like an AC, and I kind of wanted to see more of her. But then there's also this really funny character who's like NASA's cousin, and he looks kind of like a punk or a mafia person, and he just happens to talk like that when he's actually just a pretty nice dude. And it's so much fun to see some of these cool new characters, and I was very excited to see where they were going to go with them, and nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened. That's the sad part of it all. There's so many cool characters that really had potential to add more to the plot and give us more ideas of other characters and different world building, but no, we're just gonna keep focusing on NASA and Tsukasa blushing at each other, trying to make romantic advances. That's about it. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy those moments, but I do feel like they're overused a little bit. It's just, I really wanted to see more of these side characters, because there's so many unique personalities that I really wish had more of a chance to shine. And so seeing them not really do anything with these characters, just put them on the sidelines, and who they only literally exist just to push NASA and Tsukasa together, just sometimes it can get a bit annoying. Like how there's this one character, Kaname, who literally only has existed throughout this entire season for the most part, just to push them forward, being like, oh yeah, by the way, my mom gave me these hot spring tickets. You guys want to take these? And I just sit there thinking, wow, it's just, she does do a few things throughout the season, but they're just to progress NASA and Tsukasa's little romantic development. And that's all they really do with her, is she just pushes them forward instead of maybe giving her more to do. And it's just like, that's the problem with every single character for the most part. They're not given enough stuff to do. They even added in a little pet kitten called Toast. And Toast is there. It's there. It doesn't really do anything. It's just there. And that's the biggest flaw, I think, with this season. All these characters exist, and they're just there. They don't do anything, and I really wish we could see more of them, since there's so many unique personalities in the show that I would love to see get more attention, but we don't see that because we need to focus on the main couple, which, again, not bad, really fun to watch, but just feels like it's missing something. Moving past all of that for now, one thing I'd like to also talk about is how some of the episodes felt. Sometimes when I was watching, I was really enjoying myself, but then there were other times where things just kind of felt like filler. Like they were just there to pad the amount of pages that the manga artist needed to progress the story. And one of those I can kind of think of off the top of my head is the previously mentioned hot spring type visit, where yes, it is a bit of progression between the main couple, learning to actually try to hang out in the bath together, I guess you could say, but in all, it didn't really add much. It didn't really make things different. It didn't change anything for the overall plot. It felt more like filler and just kind of existed to progress things a bit slower, and it just feels like this whole season felt really dragged at times. And things didn't really start to pick up a lot until way later, when we started to get a bit more into Tsukasa's story and how she apparently has quite a few things going on before she met NASA. But we don't even get full explanations for that, because the show decides, nope, we can't have you learning too much this season. That'd be ridiculous. And I just wish we kind of got to see more of a story behind this season. I did think the first season had a lot of good moments, but even then it had some flaws. And those are even more prominent here, as it doesn't feel like the story's progressed at all. It just feels like more of the same, and while sometimes that isn't bad, in this case, it just feels lacking. I wouldn't say it's a bad season, but I wouldn't say it was like super phenomenally good either. It just feels like there wasn't enough for me to really get invested in. I just feel like there wasn't enough for me to really care about. And I think the sad part of it all is how this probably could be resolved with what I mentioned before. Give some attention to the side characters. Don't have us only focus on the main crew. Give us some time with these other characters. Let us get to know them, because a story can't rely on one main couple, in my opinion. I feel like if you're going to have a certain couple and everything else set up, there's got to be something on the side for you to also be entertained by. I can think of at least like 3 shows off the top of my head that do this. If I wanted to name them, they would probably be shows like Working, if you guys have heard of that one. My Senpai is Annoying, which is another show that I actually really enjoy but never finished. And the third one would be Love is War, since there is some stuff in Love is War that's going on in the background besides the main couple. It's just these other shows, I understand that the focus shouldn't always be on the main characters. They should mainly focus on them, but you can step to the side and change things up a little bit. Have them interact with different people. Have them create a different vibe than just be cutesy. And I think that's what kind of draws this show down, as while I really did enjoy the first season, I think it's because it was the first season that I was able to get kind of invested in this world and characters, because I was still learning about it all. Now that I've fully adapted to everything that's been going on, seeing them just do these day-to-day, more slice-of-life things just doesn't hit the same. It just doesn't feel like much is progressing, and I really feel upset about that, because I do enjoy a lot of elements of this anime. The only issue is not enough is happening for me to really care about it, and yeah, just I do like it, but I don't love it. It's just something that definitely feels like it should push itself a little bit farther, give itself a little more of an expanded area to learn about, give us more characters that get more screen time rather than just being relegated to sidelines and practically never appear in the show again. And yeah. If there's one thing I could actually kind of say, though, that I am impressed by, it's the fact that they actually are teasing at the end of the season that they might be moving into their own little place, which is nice, but that's just something on the side that I didn't really think was too big, but a little nice to add in there. But yeah, that's all I really have to say, so we're at the conclusion of this video, and what are my final thoughts? It's alright. It's definitely not as entertaining as Season 1 was, where everything was still fresh and new, but there's still some charming moments in there, but overall, it definitely is kind of an awkward change, at least for me personally, because I do feel like there is something there, but they aren't working hard enough to expand it properly. And while there are some nice moments, it definitely needs some work. But yeah, still an enjoyable season, and that's why I give Tonikawa Season 2 a 7 out of 10. Enjoyable enough, it gets the job done. Still wish there were some more things added to it though, but overall, still really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's all I really have to say, so thank you all for watching. If you're new to the JGC Anime channel, don't forget to subscribe. I also do anime fans to the channel, and I will see you all around. Peace!